Hi, good morning. I'm Cynthia Chryso, and today I'm going to present the first 5 stage of consciousness. So we're titling this Higher States of Consciousness, Part 1. Now you may be asking yourself, what are the states of consciousness? And how many are there? Well, that's a great question. A couple of them. So today we'll be covering why they are valuable in daily life, how do they develop, give you some scientific evidence, let you know which one you are in, and what are the differences in physiology, what is the process to experience them, and some historical and personal experiences. So, there are 7 states of consciousness, and the first 3 are the ones that we are pretty aware of that happen regularly. The first one is non-REM sleep. So this counts for the majority of our sleep. Roughly 75 to 80% of our total time is in this non-REM sleep. It's like a physical slowdown, physiology functions drop, including body temperature, blood pressure, and breathing rate. State of the body is sensory and motor activities are suspended and voluntary muscles become inactive. Brain activity, despite being unconscious or inactive, the brain remains as active as it is during the waking state. So the dream state, which is REM sleep, the duration is about 75% of our total sleep time. It's known as the illusory world, a state where the laws of nature don't apply. So allowing unpredictable shifts in time, place, and logic. Muscle inhibition. While brainwaves look like those of a waking person, the brain blocks signals to the muscles to prevent us from acting out dreams. I'm sure you've had a little bit of sleep paralysis at some point of your life, of your time, and that is actually when your body is telling you to stay in bed and not get up so that you don't act your dreams out in real life and hurt yourself. The vital benefits of REM sleep is critical for regenerating neurons, creating synaptic connections, processing memories, and fostering creativity. So we're definitely all familiar with waking state. It's our nature of experience, characterized by concrete sensory experiences and a constant flux of thoughts and feelings. Physiological activities include functioning at its most productive. Variances, our sense of reality is highly subjective and shifts based on our physical and emotional health, like being tired versus rested. Our perception of reality may vary enormously throughout the day, depending on whether we are rested or tired, calm or agitated, attentive or bored, happy or depressed, healthy or ill. So our waking state can, consist of everything that is keeping us alive, keeping us in states of emotions, ruts, happiness. So some Western model of human development is that they say human development levels off in adolescence. It's shown in measures of intelligence, field of independence, moral maturity, and ego development. They have also said that our IQ grows during childhood only, and then it typically levels off in adolescence. Around the same time, physical growth plateaus, with a slow decline beginning at around age 26. And that's when your frontal cortex is completely developed. So when you bring in daily transcendental meditation practice, which is what we'll be talking about here mostly, this regular experience of transcending actually resumes growing of intelligence, regardless of your age, indicating that the freezing of growth in adolescence can be unfrozen, and that human development need not stop. Regular transcending through Transcendental Meditation program expands consciousness, integrates brain functioning, and promotes human development even after it has plateaued. So TM, which is Transcendental Meditation, was brought to the West by Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. And it's done by getting a mantra. And when you're young, they give you like a child mantra, something like Om, or, just something simple for the child to like sit down and relax in. But as you get older, depending on the stage of life, you are given a secret mantra, and you sit and practice twice a day, first thing in the morning for 20 minutes, and then later on in the day for another 20 minutes. And this helps just bring you into a state of relaxation. It's like restorative. So if you hadn't had enough sleep, or if you've gone through a lot of like stress and anxiety during the day, it'll actually help bring you back to a state of calm. So our higher states of consciousness, the two that we're going to be talking about here is transcendental consciousness and cosmic consciousness. Transcendental consciousness is what you start to feel after practicing transcendental meditation. It's known as an inward settlement. Your attention moves beyond active thoughts, feelings, and perceptions. It brings you pure awareness. This is the experience of consciousness in its pure form, unbounded and awake only to itself. The inner self is identified as the experience of one's innermost self. And a physiological state of this is that the body gains a state of deep rest, while the brain functioning becomes highly integrated, integrating the total brain is awake. And then in cosmic consciousness, it is where the coexistence of states, unbounded awareness, becomes a permanent feature of experience, maintained simultaneously alongside waking, dreaming, and sleeping. Integrated physiology here is through regular experience of the fourth state. So as you're continuously experiencing transcendental consciousness, the physiology becomes free of stress and the brain remains integrated all day. There's a unified field here, and that's consciousness is fully expanded and open to the unified field. And then spontaneous right action. One naturally lives in accordance with natural law, meaning actions are spontaneously life-nourishing and desires are fulfilled without strain. So, again, going over some transcendental consciousness. It is said to be pure consciousness, awake to its own unbounded nature. So you begin to get this unbounded awareness as the mind settles inward. Consciousness expands in awareness. As the mind settles inward and transcends thoughts, these boundaries dissolve. Consciousness expands to its maximum beyond thinking and perception. Unlike ordinary waking consciousness awareness, it is awake to its depth, not just its surface. The mind's full conscious capacity unfolds, activating total mental potential. Maharishi describes this as transcendental consciousness. It is the total reality of consciousness. In the state, one transcends individuality, becoming more self-knowledge, revealing the true self, like I said. The higher self with a capital S becomes distinct from the everyday sense of self. Source of creation. So it is more than the source of thought or basic awareness. It's our nature's intelligence. It's the absolute, silent, eternal, and unchanging. The pure being of pure existence. some experience of transcendental consciousness throughout history that I picked. This is from the book, The Supreme Awakening by Craig Pearson. It's a really amazing book. You get so much information about everything that I'm telling you here. It is really condensed just in this fully expanded, almost like an encyclopedia of what is happening during higher states of consciousness. So we're all familiar with Albert Einstein and some of the letters that he wrote. I'm going to read one here. A human being is a part of the whole, called by us universe, a part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts and feelings as something separate from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of his consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. Another nice quote from him regarding transcendental consciousness is, "The true value of a human being is determined primarily by the measure and the sense in which he has attained to liberation from the self, which is pure consciousness." Transcendental. Maharishi Ueshiba, he is the founder of the martial art Aikido. Oh, he's got some great quotes. A very fabulous man. He could just take down individuals by standing there and just turning side. It's great, you know? Makes me happy. But the divine is not something high above us. It is right in our very center. It is our freedom. The heart of a human being is no different from the soul of heaven and earth. If you have life in you, you have access to the secrets of the ages, for the truth of the universe resides in each and every human being. You cannot see or touch the divine with your gross senses. The divine is within you, not somewhere else. Unite yourself to the divine. Create each day anew by clothing yourself with heaven and earth, bathing yourself with wisdom and love, and placing yourself in the heart of Mother Nature. Your body and mind will be gladdened, depression and heartache will dissipate, and you will be filled with gratitude. To practice properly the art of peace, you must calm the spirit and return to source. Crystal clear, sharp, and bright, my mind has no opening for evil to roost. The morning sun shines in my mind too, is clear and bright. From the window, I let myself soar to the highest heaven, bathed in divine light. Oh, that really touches me. This morning I had to block out all this light here just so I can bring this presentation. But like he says, bathed in divine light. So beautiful. So if you'd like to pause the video here, I have a chart of the differences between waking consciousness and transcendental consciousness, and then a timeline stabilization of transcendental consciousness, which I will go over with you because it brings us to cosmic consciousness. So first, by learning TM, brings in brief moments of unbounded awareness at the deepest points of meditation. A regular practice, twice daily, you'll begin increasing familiarity with pure consciousness. So extended experience, unbounded awareness lasts longer, first during meditation, then in daily activity. The stabilization of transcendental consciousness becomes continuous. Higher state, pure consciousness forms an unbroken underlying continuum which coexists with waking, dreaming, and sleeping. Permanent inner silence, the light of the self with a capital S, is never lost. Then comes cosmic consciousness. So when asked Maharishi if we will ever experience consciousness, cosmic consciousness in this lifetime, he said, if you do not meditate, no, it could take 100 years, 100 lifetimes. But if you do meditate, it could take hours, days, weeks, months, but you will get there. So, going on. Cosmic consciousness. So, there's a quote here by a famous tennis player. Billie Jean King. She says, I don't worry about how I'm hitting the ball, and I hardly notice my opponent at all. It's like I'm out there by myself. I concentrate only on the ball in relationship to the face of my racket. I'm in the zone. Effortless, superior performance, their inner quietude, the transcendent happiness. So the feeling of being in the zone. Self-realization. Where the self, where awareness of the self no longer overshadows by experience, the inner silence present through perception, action, and deep sleep. Silent awareness remains the background of all experience. Inner stability, unshakable inner sanctuary of silence, peace, and joy, independent of external chaos or circumstances. Once established, it cannot be lost. Cosmic consciousness brings freedom and liberation. Unbounded awareness becomes continuous. Lasting freedom lived effortlessly in daily life. The inner unbounded field of pure consciousness becomes permanent. Nervous system functioning becomes stable, a flexible nervous system. Daily fatigue dissolves naturally through sleep. Ongoing state of restful alertness. Stress no longer accumulates. Mind and body continually rejuvenate. Say that again. Stress no longer accumulates, and the mind and body continually rejuvenate. The path to development is a gradual adaptation. It's not instant attainment. The alternation of meditation and activity. Meditate and act as the most efficient formula. So when we're talking about that here, Maharishi has a analogy, and he talks about dyeing the cloth yellow. And he says, so you put it in the dye, you dye it all up, wash it, dye it, and then you put it in the sun. And so the dye gets bleached into the cloth. It's still not yellow. So you put it back in, do it some more, and put it back out in the sun. And you keep doing this and doing this and doing this until the yellow is bright and beautiful and the color stays. That's the same way as it is with transcendental meditation. You just can't reach cosmic consciousness unless you are putting in the effort to absorb and feel and change, just like dyeing the cloth. It's a good analogy. Some experience of cosmic consciousness in history. Charles Lindbergh, he was an air pilot, a male pilot, like mail delivery air pilot for the U.S. mail. He was the first to fly nonstop and solo over the Atlantic from America to Paris. Lindbergh here describes his 3,600-mile solo flight across the Atlantic. A state of semi-consciousness in which an awareness exists that is less acute but apparently more universal than that of the normal mind. Over and over again on the second day of my flight, I would return to mental alertness sufficiently to realize that I had been flying while I was nearly asleep nor awake. My eyes had been open. I had responded to my instrument's indications and held generally to compass course, but I had lost sense of circumstance and time. During immeasurable periods, I seemed to extend outside my plane and body, independent of worldly values, appreciative of beauty, form, and color, without depending upon my eyes. It was an experience in which both the intellectual and sensate were replaced by what might be termed a matterless awareness. And that is from Autobiography of Values. Eckhart Tolle, who is still with us, he is a famous philosopher and psychologist. He has written, artistic creation, sports, dance, teaching, counseling, mastery in any field of endeavor implies that the thinking mind is either no longer involved at all, or at least in taking second place. A power and intelligence greater than you and yet one with you in essence takes over. There is no decision-making process anymore. Spontaneous right action happens, and you are not doing it. Mastery of life is the opposite of control. You become aligned with the greater consciousness. It acts, speaks, does the works. This is from Stillness Speaks. So I'm sure we all have experienced that, right? Where you're driving and you get there and you're like, how did I get here? It's kind of like, you were just kind of daydreaming, thinking about other things, and you automatically got to where you were going. So it is a bit of cosmic consciousness when you just get there, because your mind has already done it. Your mind and body is already aware. I wouldn't recommend doing it a lot, but stay focused while you're driving. Roads are dangerous, especially in Florida. That's where I live. All right. So some scientific research on both transcendental meditation and higher states of consciousness. There is a chapter in Your Brain is a River, Not a Rock by Frederick Travis. He is one that has done a lot of research on higher states of meditation. The higher states of consciousness. Chapter 18, he talks about the EEG coherence. And while I was on campus, I had the lovely opportunity to hang out with Peter Hodak, who's doing a study for his doctorate on this research. So you can see me here. I've got the EEG on my head. I'm sorry, I'm getting over a cold. Yeah. So my throat is itchy. So he's doing this EEG, got me all wired up here. And this here is the information from when I was doing transcendental meditation. Let me just go over a couple notes here I have from chapter 18, the categories of meditation. So cognitive neuroscience is leveled or researched with EEG. Using focused attention is gamma, and that's body, thought, and feeling. Open monitoring attention, open monitoring is theta. which is the inner mental process. And automatic self-transferring is alpha, which is self-awareness. So if I had a little pointer here, I would point to the third face in with the lots of red alpha. It's like the whole top of the head and front of the head is triggering. So if you see the cords on my head in this photo, you can see that while I was in transcendental meditation, the alpha waves were pretty high. And this was just after 6 months of meditating. I've actually been meditating for most of my life, at least half of my life. So 26, 27 years. But I started transcendental meditation a year ago. Exactly a year ago, actually. And this was 6 months into it. If you look over here on the chart, the green represents alpha, and you can see how the levels are higher than the rest. It also measures beta, but I don't have the information here on what that is, so I can't tell you. I have to look it up. So again, meditations in each category. For gamma, which is it even on here? No. Yep, right there. That is 20 to 50 hertz, and that is Zen meditation, loving kindness, and compassion, or metta meditation, vipassana. It's increased brain activity, cortical and subcortical, many resources needed to support cognitive control. So open monitoring again, which is theta, that's 4 to 8 gigahertz. That's with zazen, mindfulness, vipassana, saraj, kriya, and yoga meditations. It's increased activation and anterior cingulate gyrus, attention switcher of the brain. So you come into automatic self-transcending, which is transcendental meditation, or Qigong master. That's alpha, 8 to 10 hertz, especially in frontal areas. Increase blood flow in frontal executive brain areas, and decrease blood flow in brainstem and arousal areas. It's restful alertness. There's a couple more things here, but I'm not going to read those. Except I will tell you that the first two categories, develop attentional strategies and cognitive and emotional coping skills, they're then available outside of meditation. But in category 3, which is the transcendental, it leads to a new state of consciousness, wakefulness, underlying thoughts called pure consciousness. They change the nature of the mind. So there's some more research here. There's a lot that has been done. And I'll let you read that. So here's another chart of typical waking consciousness versus cosmic consciousness. And you could go ahead and look over that too. You could pause the video if you'd like. And then here, another photo I put in. I used to live in Hawaii on Kauai, and I would always see Bethany Hamilton riding her bike down the street to go surfing. It was amazing because she was just so into it. I mean, totally in the zone. Here is a photograph of her at 13 years old. She lost her arm in a terrifying shark attack. It says, undeterred, Hamilton won her first national title in 2005 and went pro in 2007. She was pictured above in 2008 surfing in Mentawai, Indonesia. And there's a link there if you'd like to get the full story. But she is definitely in cosmic consciousness. I mean, could you imagine getting your arm bitten off by a shark and still competing and winning, and just knowing that you had to, be better with a handicap, but it didn't stop her. I was going to tell you that a couple of times that I know I'm in cosmic consciousness, which I guess I've actually been tuning into since I was a young child, is when I'm writing a poem or creating a piece of art, and I just go into the zone. It's like I just do it, without thinking. It's like I wish leveling up to the next state of consciousness, which would be God consciousness, where it's like creative source is speaking through you. I don't know. It's pretty amazing, and it's a great experience to have. So if you ever gone into painting or writing and you don't know where the words came from, almost like channeling. So you're channeling up a drawing, you're channeling up words. It's exciting, but we'll get more into that in the next video. Up next, God consciousness and unity consciousness. Thank you for watching my presentation, and I look forward to seeing you next time. And here is my references for you to pause and check out your own information. Everything's here. All right. Look forward to seeing you next time. Namaste.